In this session, we'll learn how to configure a custom domain for your blog website which you have hosted on GitHub. Custom domain is the domain that you have purchased from any DNS service providers like GoDaddy. As you can see, I am logged in into my account on GoDaddy, and this is the custom domain that I have purchased, amanmavi.in. Now I want to access my blog website using that custom domain. As we have learned already from our previous sessions, that if you have hosted your blog website on GitHub, you get a default URL which is in the format your username.github.io, and this is fine most of the times. But if you want to access your blog website on a custom domain, then you have to follow certain steps, and we'll talk about those steps now. The first step is that you have already purchased a custom domain from some DNS provider service like GoDaddy. In my case, I have already purchased amanmavi.in custom domain from godaddy.com. Next step is you open the GitHub repository for your blog website, and under your repository, you click the settings link, and then in the left sidebar, click on the pages link and scroll a little bit below. Under the custom domain label, you type your custom domain that you have purchased from the DNS service provider, and then you click on save, and this will create a Cname file in the root of your repo. Let's check the Cname file. So this is the root of our repository, and this is the Cname file that got created. Let's check the contents of this file. Basically, it has added our custom domain in this file. Let's go back. You can optionally check this checkbox enforce HTTPS. This will basically enforce HTTPS encryption for your site. Now go to your DNS provider site and create a CNAME record. In my case, the DNS provider is GoDaddy, and the way you create a CNAME record is by clicking on this triple dot and click on Manage DNS. Now we see the list of records over here. At the top, you see the custom domain that we have purchased, and what you have to do now is click on this edit link for the CNAME record and enter the default domain for your blog website over here. So this way your custom domain or subdomain would be pointing to this default domain for your blog website, and you can click on save. In my case, since I've already saved it, I don't need to do. Next step is to add an A record. So before we create A record, let's try to understand different types of domains first and why we need to add an A record. So there are three kinds of domains that we can configure. So let's understand by example. So first is the Apex domain. The example for this is example.com. It doesn't have any prefix attached to it. Next is the www subdomain. This is an example of this kind of a subdomain. And then we have a custom subdomain. So example of custom subdomain is blog.example.com. So the subdomain that we have purchased from GoDaddy is amanmavi.in, and that falls under Apex domain. And for Apex domain, we have to configure an A record through our DNS provider. So that is why we have to configure the A record. And we have to point our Apex domain, that is amanmavi.in, to the IP addresses for the GitHub pages. So there are 4 or 5 IP addresses. We can point to any one of those IP addresses. I have picked one of those IP addresses. So let's go to GoDaddy records page. So here you can edit the A record and copy that IP address and paste it here. So this way our custom subdomain amanmavi.in would be pointing to this GitHub pages IP, and we have created this A record, and you can click on save, and this should work after that. Now that you have created Cname record and Aname record under your DNS provider site, you should be able to access your blog website at your custom domain, that is amanmavi.in. Sometimes it takes some time before it is on or it is up. Let's go to this custom domain and check. So in my case, since I already configured earlier, this is available. As you can see, I can access my blog website using the custom domain that I have purchased from DNS provider site GoDaddy. Thank you.